for the pledge. Chris, could you lead us in the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Moment of silence for the men and women in the armed forces, our first responders, those brave men and women fighting a good fight in Ukraine. Thank you. I'd like to read this legal notice. Please take notice that pursuant to sections 405 and 406 of the town charter, the Milford Town Council will hold a public hearing to hear public comment relating to the following purposed ordinance. The town proposes to add New Milford Code Section 2-50, full-time non-union employees hired by the town on or after July 1, 2022, shall be enrolled in the defined contribution plan and shall not be eligible for the defined benefit plan as described in Code Section 2-33-2-49. The town shall contribute 5% of the eligible employee's annual salary to the defined contribution plan. Eligible employees shall be required to contribute 2% of their annual salary to such plan. Board of Education employees will continue to be eligible for the defined benefit plan. Union employees may be eligible for the defined contribution plan through collective bargaining. Said public hearing to be held at Martin Room at the New Milford Town Hall, 10 Main Street, 645, June 13, 2022. Okay. Anyone from the public like to address the council for this legal public hearing? Tommy?
Thank you, Mayor, council, staff, ladies and gentlemen. For the record, Tom Pilla, 19 Hillcrest Drive, New Milford, Connecticut. Chaired the Compensation and Benefits Committee and also chairman of the Town Pension Committee. It's my honor to be here before you this evening and support this change. The committee looked very deep into this change, and we got information through personnel, through CCM, and all the other towns that are moving in that direction. And it's time that New Milford do the same. Over time, it'll be a big savings on the ARC contribution that the town has to fund in its budget. So this charter change, I 100% endorse it and hope that you do the same. I know the legislative body voted to send it to a town meeting, and I hope your final vote to change the charter provision to allow for this is a successful vote. Thank you. Any questions? Be happy.
Any questions? Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
Greg, do you have anything else to add as our HR director?
Thank you, Mayor. The only thing that I would add to this, Tommy really hit it. There's a big push from the municipalities to be moving to a defined contribution plan. There is demonstrated savings to the municipalities as well as benefits to the employees. Employees with a defined benefit plan need to vest, which means they need to stay within positions for a certain number of years before they can have a benefit. With the defined contribution plan, they vest much faster. They would always have the ability to take their own contributions, but the town contributions, rather than a 10-year vest, would be a 5-year vest, and it's just in the best interest of the employees.
Thank you, Greg.
Absolutely. Any questions?
for Greg?
Thank you.
Entertain. Do we have anybody else from the public that would like to address the council? See if there is none. I'd like to see if someone would like to do a motion to close this public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All's in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Next public hearing is right now at 6:50. And this one is a notice, a warning of the public hearing. The Milford Town Council will hold a public hearing on Monday, June 13th at 6:50 p.m. in the E. Paul Martin Room of Roger Sherman Town Hall, located at 10 Main Street in New Milford, to receive comment on the 2022 Neighborhood Assistance Acts Program application received. Copies of the 2022 Connecticut Neighborhood Assistance NAA Program proposal and the State of Connecticut Department of Revenue Services information publication entitled The Connecticut Neighborhood Assistance Acts Tax Credit Program are on file and available for public inspection in the New Milford Town Clerk's Office, or can be found at the Connecticut DRS website at https portal.ct.gov/drs/credit-programs/neighborhood assistance/neighborhood assistance.act tax credit program. The program proposal form NAA01 can also be found at the above-mentioned website. Completed proposals should be submitted electronically to Tammy Reardon at newmilford.org before Friday, June 10th, in order to be considered by the New Milford Town Council. All questions can be directed to Tammy Reardon via the email treardon@newmilford.org or by calling 860-457-4195. I know Tammy's here. Tammy, can you give the council an update? I know we do this annually. If you could give the council an update
Yes.
on this program.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everybody. Tammy Reardon, Grants and Compliance Specialist for the town of New Milford, and the point person, or community liaison, as it's referred to, for the Neighborhood Assistance Act. This Neighborhood Assistance Act is a program brought to us by the Connecticut Department of Revenue Services, and what it does is it allows a business firm who is making a cash donation to an approved nonprofit within the community to obtain tax credits for that donation, up to 100% of the donation amount. In previous years, we've had one agency participate in the program. They have chosen not to participate this year. However, we do have a valid application that I received prior to the deadline from Camilla's Cupboard, Food Pantry for Children, in the area of community services as a food pantry. So that application is whole and complete. I wanted to inform you that that is there. The next step in this action is the action item on the town council agenda for later this evening. I'd be happy to stay to address any other council members that may attend. I respectfully request to be moved prior to the executive session that will be occurring with the chief of police and the school security issues.
Any questions for Tammy?
Is one application typical?
In all of the years that I've been the community liaison, yes, we've typically only received one application. The requirements from the Connecticut Department of Revenue Services are that we list a public hearing, put it out in the newspaper. That was done for, I believe it was June 3rd. I've also reached out to some of the community organizations that would qualify to let them know that the applications were available prior to that notice of public hearing. Because of the fiscal timeframe requirements, it's a very short window for applications to be completed, but it is a very simple application.
Great, thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions for Tammy? Thank you, Tammy.
Thank you.
Anybody else from the public that would like to address the public hearing concerning the NAA program and proposal? I'd like to entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? That's closed. Next will be at 7 o'clock, will be our regular town council meeting. Thank you. Mike, could you lead us in the pledge, sir?
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Moment of silence for the men and women in the armed forces, our first responders, and those brave men and women fighting a good fight in the Ukraine. Thank you. Mike, while you're looking for that, I'm going to dial in and see if we have anybody that's on the phone.
Oh, yeah.
That's what the fun of it is, though.
All right, maybe you're it.
Okay.
Wait till Pete gets back, though. You can stand up there. Just checking.
Yeah. Join the conference now. It's the same thing, it's just if you have a meeting code.
Anybody on the phone?
Yes, Mary Jane.
Okay. Thanks, Mary
Mary
Jane.
Jane.
Hi, Mary Jane.
Hi, how are you?
Okay, we have one speaker, Mickey Harkin. You're up.
He gets back.
Good call. Sorry, Mickey. 3 minutes?
Okay.
4? 5? Are they
Five.
5?
All right.
I'll talk quick. My name is Mickey Harkin, 11 Meadow Ridge Lane in New Milford. I'm going to read a letter that I had written to Parks and Recs. I'm a little concerned about something, and I'll tell you how important this is to me. My family right now is at Arethusa celebrating the end of school, and myself, who works at school, is here. So, yeah, this is how much it means to me. I had written this letter back in May. Dear Parks and Rec, I had lived in New Milford for 18 years and enjoyed every park that you supervised with my kids, by myself and our dog. 3 years ago, we bought a kayak, and the spot we ended up getting was the C rack, which is the far rack in the middle spot. It was very difficult to get the kayak in and out of the spot, and I did not enjoy kayaking because of that as much as I thought I would. Last year, I got to registration at 6 a.m., and yes, I know it started at 8 a.m. So I managed to get a prime spot on the rack A, closest to the lake, bottom right, or bottom left.
Is that Lindeming?
Lindeming, I apologize. So I could easily slide my kayak in and out and had a great time on the lake all summer. When this year rolled around, I unfortunately had a meeting, but my ever-patient husband said he would go at 6:30 and try to get the same spot. He was number 2 in line, so his chances were pretty good of getting an A or B rack, and with an N spot were pretty decent. That is until he went inside and was handed a piece of paper in which that many of the spots were reserved for senior citizens. He ended up getting C4, in which a tree is literally in the way, the pictures show, and I can only hope that I don't get poison ivy maneuvering it in and out. So why this letter, you may ask? First of all, I have nothing against seniors. I'm hoping to be a senior someday, so I appreciate the extra steps that have gone. However, it was never mentioned on the website or in the kayak registration literature that spots were reserved for seniors. It is also not noted in the minutes of the Parks and Rec meetings. We, meaning me, are people who plan out and over-prepare, so we are ready to get this spot. Reason showing up 90 minutes earlier. To have this happen at the last minute, my husband couldn't reach out to me since I was in a meeting, so he took the closest and lowest spot he could get. And I had written, I'd love to hear the rationale behind this, thinking of reserving spots for seniors. I'm having a hard time that the spots are reserved for seniors. In fact, all the good spots. Good spots meaning on the closer rack, on the open sides. I am a 5'1" woman who is overweight and uses the kayak to get exercise. I've seen some of those seniors in kayak and they are in way better shape than I am. Due to my size, lack of strength, and weight of the kayak, I really can't carry it very far, which means I have to drag it. Now I have to drag it through sand, rocks, acorns, and tree branches, which is not good through the bottom of the kayak at all. Again, due to my height, I cannot hoist up a kayak to the middle rack to put it in there either. My options for kayak spots are very limited, and you've made it almost impossible to get a fair spot. I've loved the fact that you keep adding kayak racks because I know the demand is high. I see them packed every summer and love that people are using this awesome form of exercise to explore the lake. I can only hope that you can reconsider the plan for next year and make it easier for all to try to get a spot to fit their needs.
I have an addendum on 5:30. We went to go put the kayak in, and it was very difficult due to the tree and the surrounding area. You see the pictures. A tree blocks entirely one side of the kayak berth. So there's the trees. To get there, you have to kind of maneuver through trees to get there, and then there's the tree, and then you can only put it up on one side. So you can't lift it up from both sides and put it in the middle. You can only lift it up from one side. I would suggest next year removing the berths and placing them in front of the berth of trees that are there on a vertical and not a horizontal as they are now. And I said also looking back in the organizational minutes, I looked back far as September 2021, and the change for the kayak spot registration was never mentioned. I've been in touch with Dan Calhoun, I think it is, the Parks and Rec director, and he said it was done during discussion of Lynn Deming rules. However, it is not in the minutes whatsoever, and I will be going to their meeting next week to talk about this as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mickey.
30 seconds to spare.
Okay, Mike, do we have anybody else?
There's no one else. Do you get this?
Okay. All right, Katie?
Okay.
I guess I gotta go to school. See over under
Okay.
I didn't know there's training.
Okay. On the consent agenda, item 3, I'd like to move to accept items 3A through 3D. Thank you. And I will just read, the Commission on Aging asked if I would say that one of the motions here is they're going to accept a donation of a bookshelf from the Law Office of Cecilia Buck Taylor to be placed in the senior lounge, and she'd like to thank Ms. Taylor for her generosity. There's a very long list of donations made to Parks and Rec. So what I would say to anybody at home, you can see this online if you look at this agenda. There's lots of them, very generous.
Any discussion on the consent agenda? Yep.
It says that all these wonderful gifts are going to the Park and Rec Gift Fund. What is the Park and Rec Gift Fund?
Gift fund
Where
help.
they put gifts. Well, really, that's what it is.
For?
And it goes in a general.
Oh, you mean what do they use it for?
Correct.
You use it for trees, like when they do tree donations over here and requesting people's names. They'll
Oh,
do
okay.
that, benches, that type of stuff.
Is
I
that-
could get some specifics. That's a
Yeah, we
good-
can ask Dan
That's a good
for-
I was
question.
just curious.
Yeah, I don't know. I would say the same as the mayor, but I don't want to ask.
I'd say it's really cool to note that the majority of these gifts are for people who don't live in town.
I know.
That's really, that's cool.
So if you're watching from out in Illinois,
This was-
Roscoe, Illinois,
Take your money.
And this is in replacement of, and sometimes in lieu of flowers, when people are deceased, they asked that they instead give it to an entity, and one of them being Parks and Rec. That's why you'll see some of the names outside in the Milford.
and also hello to Crestone, Colorado.
Any other comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you.
Item number 4, move to approve the appointment to the Housing Partnership of Amanda Caldwell and Marissa Levine. Those are our 2 new municipal agents. Term from June 13th, 2022 through January 31st, 2024.
Any discussion?
Is there a second?
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions?
We had an update from Dr. Levin, was that?
And that I
was
sent to
everyone?
the,
Okay,
yep,
good.
sent to the council.
Item number 6, update from Lisa Morrissey, Director of Health.
Is Lisa here yet?
Nope.
Okay.
Okay.
Can we table that until she comes in?
Yep. Item number 7, I'd like to move to approve the closure of the Southern Crossover on June 21st, 2022 for the Youth Agency Live Music Night on the Green, which will last from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m.
Second.
Any further discussion?
I'm just curious what.
But they have some college and high school bands. They're going to be playing on the bandstand.
That's cool.
Yeah.
It's a week from tonight? Tomorrow?
On the
21st. Yep.
That,
Kids are out of school.
that's Tuesday, a week from tomorrow.
Yep. Yep.
Cool.
Yep, there's going
It'll
to be live
going
music there.
this time around. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you.
Item number 8, Recycling Center. I'd like to move to approve the pricing as proposed to become effective on July 1st, 2022.
Second?
We have a second. Bob, can you come up, kind of give the council, I know they had the paperwork, but kind of, what's going on? Is it in the rest of the world, and you're part of it with inflation and everything else? What's going on with recycling?
I like the best Sunday customers. I really like the Sunday.
Well, there's one sitting a couple away from you is Sunday customer also. Good evening. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Bob Hanna. I'm a principal in Three Veterans LLC. We're the company that was awarded a contract to run the New Milford Recycling Center in a public-private partnership about 1.5 years ago. In that time, we have increased our customer base. Last year, we serviced just under 47,000 people. This year, we're up about 16%, so we're up to about 1,074 people a week that we service through the recycling center. Christina Prayhack here is my assistant. She has brought in the female perspective for me, and which has done us very well. We also have 6 other part-timers that work with us. One that works during the day is another female lady. She is bilingual because we've noticed over the course of the 18 months that we do have a larger Spanish-speaking clientele that come in now. So she helps us obviously with that. The challenges we met are no more challenges than everyone here is meeting in their personal lives as far as inflation is concerned. We belong to an organization called Houstonic Resource Recovery Authority. They are contracted with disposal companies to take care of our waste. If you didn't know, the state of Connecticut does not have any landfills. None of the municipal solid waste goes to a landfill, it goes to an incinerator. Incinerators, they've shut down 2 in the state of Connecticut. It's getting tougher and tougher and tougher to do this. When it gets tougher and tougher and tougher, the prices go up. You start talking about transportation, start talking about a new fee they've put into place, a cost recovery fee, a fuel surcharge. The costs in the last few months have gone up 9%, just in the last few months. It was announced today they're going up again July 1st. It's a contracted increase. So added all that together, and as you can see, the information I provided of what our fees have been, when the last time they've been increased, and we have adjusted some of the fees down, fees that don't require the manual labor and stuff that we do on the larger items. So, free to answer any questions.
Any questions, Joe?
I hate to see the fees go up, but it's given the environment. I don't know what else we're going to do, because there reaches a point where if they get so high, people are just going to throw the stuff in or empty lots, and that's always my concern, or on corners. But overall, these don't look bad. How many truck beds do we get in for recycling?
I'm sorry?
Truck beds. You get 6, 7, and 8 foot truck beds on here.
What that is there is it says it's for reference only. People come in with a truckload of debris.
Oh, I thought they're better off in the back of the truck. I'm like,
No.
who throws those out?
I have. It's minor though, otherwise it would be on the list.
All right, so for an 8 footer,
Correct. For an 8 foot, if you have an 8 foot bed that's filled to water level, that's the maximum that it would cost to dispose of the items in that bed.
All right, thanks for
And
clarifying
that it helps us because people, you look at it and say, well, you're looking at X amount of dollars, and they go, so this helps them. This takes away a little bit of the shock value for them. It's hardly ever that, to be honest with you.
Listen, I know it's expensive. I just ordered a 20-yard container, $600 for myself, for my house.
Yeah.
Maybe you can get one of those 8
Mike?
foot bed trucks.
I think that's
Do a
next.
little one by one.
I'm just curious, the direction of the industry, if landfills have all been closed and the incinerators are down to how many in the state?
There are 3 that I know of. And the other big one is there's a transfer station in Hartford run by Mira.
And where do they take that?
Which has been most of that gets shipped out on rail. And the last I knew, it goes to different places all the time because of cost. Colorado will call them up and say, we'll take it for X amount, and then it starts going there instead. But Mira is a antiquated transfer station in Hartford up by the old airport up there. And they're closing that down because they have requested funds from the state of Connecticut itself to modernize it, and the state has refused. And they're taking in, gosh, thousands of tons a day from that area. Ours goes to the transfer station in Danbury. From Danbury, it's trucked, all the municipal solid waste, which is regular garbage, is trucked to the Bridgeport incinerator down in Bridgeport, which is owned by a private equity company. So obviously they're looking after profits and stuff. All the construction debris, like truck beds, goes into rail cars, which you should see come right through New Milford. And if you can see, they've got, I think, 30 that they pack out to haul. And that stuff, the last I knew, was going to Ohio. It goes up through Massachusetts and then cuts over from there. But again, it's all supply and demand. And
Yeah.
the truckers, I'm
Chris?
sorry.
Yeah, when I look at this, as you mentioned, some are going up, some are going down. You obviously put a lot of thought and effort onto each item, what to do, and I appreciate that. And I don't see, I know from my private hauler, fees are going up, tipping fees are going up for them, so it's not going to be any different for you. And I just want to say that, as Joe mentioned, I think what you're doing is an essential function of this town, because if you're not there, Lord knows what people are going to do with the things. And every time I've used it, it's been easy to use, it's been relatively inexpensive, and so I do appreciate it, and I would support your request here.
Thank you.
Kate?
Thanks, Bob. So July 1st, there's going to be another increase from Hurrah? Or
Correct. It's a contracted increase?
Yeah, right. So because of the cost of fuel going up, which of course they depend on fuel for moving all of this stuff, no matter how you look at it, do you think that there may be another increase? Are they allowed to have another increase?
When they instituted the fuel surcharge, I'll give you a little quick history of how it went. They came out, Oak Ridge, which is the transfer station that we use, came out with a transportation surcharge. Went through Hurrah, and HRRA approved a $4 per ton transportation surcharge. Then they came out with a fuel surcharge, which is in the contract. So whoever missed it in the contract when they came for a transportation surcharge, they should have said it's already built in. So they're able to institute that without any discussion from Hurrah because of the contract, and it's on a sliding scale. Currently, it's $2 a ton, or portion thereof. So the contracted, it's every year it's contracted. It goes up about $1.51 a ton, I believe, is what's in the contract for the next another 8 years, actually.
It's just in these terrible price hikes that are happening. I just wondered if they could find a way. I suppose they could, if they really wanted to. It became really untenable.
It's getting, unfortunate, like the transfer station last week, to dump a truck, there was an hour, 45-minute wait, because they have to keep everything inside the building. Nothing can come out.
Right.
So, and they're having trouble getting truckers. So it's just a snowball. One of the first things that we did when we took over the recycling centers, we purchased our own truck to reduce costs.
Yeah.
Instead of contracting out to Oak Ridge, All-American, and any other big companies. It's saved quite a bit of money.
I know you did. That's good.
Which has now all been eaten up by Oak Ridge. And
Well, I have to say, I have heard from many people since you took over how much they appreciate the added hours. I think that was the biggest plus ever. And I do really appreciate that you have a new assistant who is putting a friendly smile on everything. Not that your smile isn't friendly, but I think Christine, right? Yeah.
Christine, yeah.
And just for the edification of the council, I believe was in the packet was these fees are already vetted by the recycling committee, of which they unanimously approved it, and that's when it came up to here as well. Hillary?
I agree, this is an incredible service, and I think you for it. I've been there. It's been a very pleasant experience many times. I'm assuming because it's a public-private, the numbers are available to everybody. I'm just wondering if your profits have increased, or, you know, what, is there something that balances the?
We are not profitable yet.
Okay.
And one of the things is when we assume control of the facility, we also assume control of all the equipment and the cost to maintain and repair or replace. The backhoe that was there was an old John Deere. It was 30 years old. We plugged along, and finally, the transmission decided it didn't want to work anymore. We spent over a month, along with the Public Works Department, searching for the parts through the vendor. I sent it to a vendor up in Hartford, actually, to look at it, and the part was just not available. I even traveled to a tractor show in Florida that was featuring John Deere this year to see if we could come up with this to find it. Not being able to do that, we incurred a significant cost, and anyone who's been there sees our new machine there. It's $152,000 for that machine. It's going to last a long time, don't get me wrong, but you know, that is in the contract. It's our responsibility to do, and we can't safely provide the service that we do without that type of. So that's one of the major reasons for the unprofitability at this point. And now we're just we're treading water now with this, and you know, I mean, as you can see, the fees have not gone up a tremendous amount. Let me put it that way.
Any other questions for Bob?
Is there a way for anyone who's on limited income or no income to get assistance for bringing things, maybe not directly, but maybe from the town side? Is there a way to help families?
They could talk to, if it's not a senior, they could talk to Ivana at Social Services. If they are a senior, they could talk to Jasmine, and yes.
Right. I just, rather than have things
Thrown on
be
the
dumped in the wrong
sidewalks,
place.
yep. I agree. So we do have that capability.
Okay.
Any other questions for Bob? Stephanie?
I didn't hear your assistant's name. You said it so fast. What is, who's your assistant?
Christina Prahack. Hack. P-R-A-C. Smith. H-A-C-H. Sorry.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? And thank you, Bob. And
Thank
please
you, I
thank
appreciate it.
team
Thank you
for-
very much.
I'd like to suspend the rules to add item 8A, mayor's comments. It was neglected to be added to our.
Rats.
I have a second.
Okay, I'm sorry, Mike. Have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. I'd like to start off first by a proclamation. And this is the town of New Milford's children, whereas the town of New Milford's children are the state's and town's most important asset, and whereas shared parenting is an arrangement whereby parents who are separated or divorced are given equal decision-making abilities and equal parenting time, and whereas research indicates that children benefit greatly when they have a relationship with both parents, and whereas declaring a statewide day honoring shared parenting will encourage children's access to both parents. Whereas April 26th is the day the nation's first equal sharing parenting bill was signed into law. Now, therefore, I, Pete Bass, Mayor of the town of New Milford, Connecticut, do hereby proclaim today, June 30th, for New Milford as Sharing Parenting Day in New Milford. I think it's important that we, create the awareness that there are separated homes, and together, with people working together, it benefits our children. So, thank you. Next, want to talk a little bit about some of the stuff going on in the town. First is the COVID numbers, and these are as they are in totality. And again, not to be repetitive, people do ask why do we continue with the numbers. We do have people that are immune compromised, people that have health issues, and they've responded back that they like the fact they're able to make decisions through the numbers that they get.
But Pete, if you're doing the numbers in totality instead of what's happening right now, what good are the numbers?
So, well, they're good when you know, like, for instance, it's 5,242 people which is up 7 from Friday.
Oh, those numbers, the other
Yeah.
numbers, you do through the whole pandemic, those numbers don't seem to be that important at this point.
Well, that's total for New Milford. So New Milford, since the pandemic started, had 5,242. That's just how the state does it.
Just
And then
curious.
it's been up 7 from Friday. So one of the things that, and speaking with Lisa, that we do know is we had these upticks, just like the flu. This is mimicking flu and upper respiratory viruses. So we know that it will probably go up a little bit again now that we had the family outings for Memorial Day. So see a little bit of those numbers, and it will crest back down. Then according to Lisa, the summertime, as it was last year, we'll see reduced numbers, and then they will tend to go up again as we approach the school year. Good news is we have therapeutics. We know much more about COVID, which is good. Vaccine statistics, for those that have chosen to be vaccinated, first doses, we're at 84.5% of our population. Fully vaccinated, we're at 78.17%. Moving on, congratulations to the Milford High School class of 2022. I was able to attend the graduation, both because my daughter graduated, and also can't thank all of the teachers, paraeducators, administrators, lunch staff, bus drivers.
Yeah, don't forget lunch.
Can't forget them, absolutely not. For all their efforts to get our seniors graduated, and then everyone else that's moving up in the grade levels. Those going from Scotticoke to the high school, from Sarah Noble up to Scotticoke, and so on and so forth. Also want to thank special education Litchfield Hills transition teachers Ashley Albanese and Roxanne Kraft and their staff. I was invited this year to Litchfield Hills transition, their graduation, and that's for older adults with special needs, younger adults, and how they transition with disabilities, how they transition, improving employment skills, increasing independence. It was great to see those graduates. Also going to congratulate the 10U girls softball team as they won the USSA Summer Leadoff National Qualifier. Their record as of today is 24-1. They're currently ranked number 1 in the Connecticut USSA 10UB Division Power Rankings. Pretty amazing.
Good, yeah.
Absolutely.
Very good.
Also want to congratulate our 2 newest Eagle Scouts, Alex Thibodeau and Alexander Rigdon. And just amazing to see in the courts of honor what these youngsters do as far as achievement already. It's pretty amazing, so congratulations to them. Also want to congratulate Built Right Industries and President Matt Beenan as they broke ground for their facility, which is on Still River in back of where Garrity Plumbing is going to be. They're in the back there. Their new headquarters, which is 40 Still River Drive. Can't thank them enough for their investment in New Milford. Today, as you'd see on the flagpole, we raised the Filipino flag in honor of those of Filipino heritage, and it was their Independence Day yesterday. Obviously, it was a Sunday, so we did that today. And Jasmine, who's our senior center director, and her family came down because they are of Filipino descent, so we wanted to thank her for that as well. I do want to opine a little bit on the New Milford Library. So we're talking about infrastructures. We were hoping to have the library open the end of this month. Unfortunately, due to material shortages, that's going to be postponed. We're probably looking sometime in August for that to be fully opened, just the fact that we have these material shortages. So we're continuing to work with the materials that we do have, but unfortunately, that's where it is. The good news is when the renovation's completed, it's going to add 6,500 additional square feet to the existing library, which will bring the total to 22,000 square feet. It's going to have a lot of community space, which is what the public has asked for, and we're very excited about that opening up. But I wanted to let the council know that, in fact, this is going to be later than we thought it would be, unfortunately. The New Milford Town Hall roof, that's pretty much completed. The only thing we're waiting for is some of the woodworking to be completed, and that, again, we're having a little bit of a shortage in that, but that should be at any time according to the contractor, and then that job will be completed. Done a great job. If you've gone down to the New Milford High School roof, yeah, they've done a lot of the front work. They're over to the southern side now. peeling off some of the asphalt shingles and then putting down the ice and rain barrier. And then they're moving along and putting in the standing seam. That will probably be completed sometime late fall, maybe winter, depending on the speed of when they can go. They will be going much faster now the kids are out of school, but that'll be exciting when that's fully completed as well. On the bridges, Tamarack Road, they're going to be paving that, I believe, this week. So then that one will be completed. Mud Pond Road one is completed already. And then they're working on the Gaylord one as we speak as well. They brought in the culvert for that one, and then they're going to continue to work on the walls for that one as well. And then we're still in the process on Chernersky. That went to Inland Wetlands for approval, and Inland Wetlands pushed that off until their next meeting. And I'll have more information as we proceed on that as well. As far as the energy program that we're working with the New Milford schools, they're continuing to work with that. I've asked to have a joint meeting in August with the Town Council, the Board of Finance, and the Board of Ed all together, so that you guys can get a complete update after we've done some of the summer big parts of the project, so that you guys can be updated on that project as well. I'd also like to let the Town Council know that our Community Care Coordinator, Justin Colmer, has taken a new position with the Norwalk Police Department. It was a job that he's been wanting to do, is in police and policing. So I've been speaking with Chief Ceruto, Ivana Butera, as far as how we are going to pivot from that. And I'll be bringing all that information to the Town Council at the next meeting of how we're going to do this.
He's so talented. How long are we going to keep him?
Yeah.
We're going to find another one like him.
He did some amazing work, but he also gave us a little bit of a roadmap as well.
He did.
Maybe the chief of how we're going to continue to pivot and handle it. So we'll be bringing that to the council as well. The dam, just to let you know, that's up at the reservoir. Jack and his team continue working on that. We're looking to get the dam engineering completed by the summertime. So do the full work. They've done some initial work for the safety of the dam, and that's making sure that gate could open so we could increase or decrease water. That they did. But then for the full work, hopefully we'll get that by the summertime as well. And that's what I got, Katie.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Moving to item 9, I'd like to move that we go into executive session and ask Chief Ceruto, Attorney DeBella, and Greg Valero to join us.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you.
Why is there two separate executives? Can you combine those?
All set? Okay, we're back in regular session. During executive session, there were no motions made or any votes taken. So I'd like to move we return to regular work here.
Okay.
And is she back? Sorry, is Mary Jane back on the phone? Can we get her back on?
I don't know if she went, oh, it's blinking. Blinking.
Hello? Anybody on the phone? Anyone there?
Yeah, I'll plug it back in.
Yes, you hung up on it.
I had it on hold.
It may have.
Timed out.
Yeah. I think I have to call back. Didn't you? Oh. She should leave their call back.
Welcome. To join a conference now, please enter your... The meeting access code you entered is invalid. Please re-enter the meeting. The meeting access code you entered is...
You broke the meeting?
No.
Can't take you anywhere.
She probably hung up.
Probably just.
Right.
That's okay.
Sorry, if you're watching, Mary Jane, we're sorry. We didn't mean to do that.
Welcome. To join a conference now, please...
This reminds me
If you
of
are
Space
leaving
Odyssey
home,
2001, you know, where Hal kept talking every time he tried to do something.
Mary Jane, are you on?
Yeah, and she's not texting, so
Okay.
all good.
Okay? I'd like to suspend the rules to
You
add,
didn't vote on that motion to return, just so you know.
pardon?
You didn't vote on the
Oh,
motion to
okay,
return.
we had a motion and second to return to regular
All those in
session.
favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie. I'd like to suspend the rules and add item 9A1, which would be to ratify the contract we just discussed.
With the Chief of Police, Chief
Yes.
Ceruto.
Yes.
Second?
Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions?
Okay.
And
So
for the record, Chief, thank you again, and we're very excited that you'll continue on.
that was to,
Very
that was to
Yep.
prove the suspending.
Yep.
So now I'm going to move on this item 9A1, that we move to ratify the contract of Chief Ceruto as discussed with our HR person.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Tom.
Chief, thank you,
Thank you,
congratulations.
Greg.
And Chief, could you hang out for 1 second for our next item agenda too? Yes. Thank you.
Okay. Item 9B, we'd like to have a little discussion on community response to bullying.
Thank you, Katie. Just wanted to give the council an update. Our task force, of which the police department is part of that, along with the superintendent, assistant superintendent, also the Milford PTO, Megan Bird, as well as our youth agency, as well as our Park and Rec as well. We also have some outside agencies that come in to help us as well, as we're looking to continue to really focus on helping stop bullying in New Milford, whether that's young people or adults. It's something that we feel very strongly about that isn't a good part of New Milford, and we want to make sure we can combat that in the best way we can. So some of the things that we have been talking about is what we can do. So we're going to start with the kids first. What we can do with the youth, and in partnering with the Board of Education and the superintendent. We're looking at collaborative efforts, especially working with the youth agency as far as our juvenile review board, and how that can help, especially with those that have committed a more serious crime. If it's a little bit less than that, we're looking at doing some different types of workshops with our youth agency, also with our Park and Rec team as well. When we're talking more about the adult part of this as well, I know we're going to have no tolerance for that, and if they do it where it becomes very harmful for someone, and there's legal precedents. We're going to follow that up to the fullest extent of the law that's allowable. Obviously, we're looking at technology to improve how we can react to bullying and other events. So one of the things we're looking at now, which we'll be bringing to the council in the next meeting, is a thing called anonymous alerts. And basically, there are other school systems that continue to have this. We're looking at this as a community. And Chief, can you talk a little bit about anonymous alerts?
Yeah, sure. Anonymous alerts gives citizens, children potentially, a chance to contact different people for different kinds of help. And it allows them to do that in an anonymous fashion. You know, all too often we see instances occurring and crimes occurring, and people are afraid to stand up sometimes. Sometimes they stand and videotape the incident. This gives them an opportunity to pull out their cell phone, push a button, and that notification can go to different personnel within the community. It can go to the police department, it can go to social services, it can go to all different agencies, for example, the youth agency. And it really gives us an opportunity at the police department, we're only a small part of this program, to gain very important information on things that are going on within the community that we might not otherwise know about. And one thing that does is it allows us to prevent a lot of problems. If we know about things ahead of time, they don't fester, they don't continue, we can help the situation in a series of different ways. Like the mayor said, we work with the Juvenile Review Board, we work with the youth agency, we work with social services, we work with parks and recs, we work with the school system. So we're just a small part of it, but we're glad to be a part of it because we think this is a very useful way of communicating with
And also the Board of Ed, I want to thank Chairman Fallenbach, also Superintendent DeCorpo, and Assistant Superintendent Hollander. And we're all working together to try and work collaboratively to make sure, especially when it comes to our youth, how we tackle this. And we'll be bringing more of this to the town council as we move forward. I just wanted the council to know that we're continuing to work on this collaboratively with different agencies as well as our own agencies. And we'll talk a little bit more about the security when we go into executive session a little bit later. Anybody have any questions? Thank you, everybody. Katie?
Moving on to item 10, I'd like to move that the council approve the allocation of the end-of-year balance of 2021-2022, the Board of Education, subject to final audit, as follows: $201,800 to the Internal Service Fund, $50,000 to the Turf Field Replacement Account, and the remaining balance to the Board of Ed Capital Reserve Account, with the exception of any energy line items related to the current slate of energy savings projects.
Second.
Any discussion? Joe?
I'm sorry, go ahead. I see you.
I have some questions about the turf replacement fund. How many years has money been put into the?
It's been put in every year that we have had the turf fields.
Okay.
The town puts in about $50,000 and the Board of Ed puts in theirs. They had a little bit of an increase prior because they were missing a year, so they wanted to catch up.
So it's accumulating funds
Correct.
to prepare for the day when they need to be
Yes.
replaced. So where is that in our books? Like, where can we see that? I was trying to find it somewhere to see how much money's in there right now, and just.
I can have Greg Ossipal give you the total.
Great, okay, because, yeah.
In his report, it usually shows up.
No,
Yeah.
that wouldn't, the cumulative would not be in
Oh,
there
the
because.
cumulative,
Right.
Yeah, it's just a
sorry.
budgeted
Oh, you wanna
number
know
for the
since
town
we
is like
Right, I wanna-
50,000.
yeah.
but I'll make sure he
Yeah.
gets you that number.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I know it's a straight line thing where it's meant to be at full cost after 10 years, because I think it has to be replaced after 10 years.
I don't think we're gonna get near.
Right, that's kind of why I'm
In 10
wondering,
years, we're not gonna get near it.
which is why I want to know how much is in there.
Yeah.
And the-
Outside is, we'll get about 12 years out of those fields.
That's what I was just gonna say, with the way that they're being taken care of right now, probably get 12 years or more. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you.
Item 10B, I'd like to move to approve the revised 5-year capital plan and for the council to approve removing $980,030 from the Board of Ed capital reserve account to fund the proposed 2022-23 projects. I believe that's part of
Thank you.
their addendum here. Yeah.
Joe?
It's unfortunate the board, I couldn't find anybody to be here tonight for us to ask some
Few
questions.
pages here.
I can't ask questions of the paper. So although I know Ms. Fallenbach is not available, there are others, including the superintendent. It's unfortunate because normally they're here.
Table it?
That's a lot of money to pull out of there, and a lot of these are projects that get taken out of the budget, put in here. You know, some of it's moving around, and I have some questions with, you know, $115,000 in smart boards. That JV softball safety net was something I tried to get the town side to do, because we learned this after we put the fields in, that they can't use the practice field while they're playing JV ball, because they're launching those balls onto the field. And it's 5 or 6 years now since we put the fields in, and we still haven't fixed this problem, which I think is an embarrassment on the school and the town side, honestly. I get the security camera refresh, and that's probably going to go into some of our executive session issues. The oil tank replacement at Scotticoke. Now, well, that's the year after, I'm sorry.
Yep.
The elevator replacement. I thought while I was just there, we paid money, a big money to have that thing renovated, refurbished, and now they want to replace it after it's refurbished. These are the kind of questions I have that require someone to be here.
Can we?
And the next and the last but not least, which is always a concern I have, was on the Board of Ed. If we allow them to pull the 980, what's the balance?
So I can tell you right now what the balance is.
After the 980.
Right now, you have, right now, the balance as of 5/31/22 will be $3,039,825.
$3 million in a capital reserve.
Right, and then you're gonna take out $450,000, which was their contribution to the roof replacement. That gives a total of $2,589,825. You then take out the requested amount of $980,030. The effective balance will be $1,609,795 left in the capital reserve.
1.6.
Yep.
They get their capital reserve money by taking their end of year balances and rolling them over and giving the ARPA funds that have gone to the schools. They were able to pay for a lot of things. And it's just, the other part of that is if they're running, you know, we've always said this, it's been a unique time, but if they're running really large surpluses at the end of the year, are we misevaluating the budget process?
And what's the normal balance we want in that account?
Well, I would say that this is their capital plan, which they approved for their capital. And even taking out the $980,30, because if you don't do it now, I don't know when the Board of Ed, you know, the end of our year, municipal year, is in a couple of weeks. So, I mean, this could be something we could have them come back to us, but.
And this was presented.
This was
in their
presented,
budget
correct.
fully when they presented their budget, so we've seen it, we've reviewed it, yeah.
I mean, Joe, we could get the questions and then have the superintendent give us those answers if he'd like.
I think it's important that they be here. I mean, I'll allow, yeah, obviously, it's gonna go through.
It's similar to, you know, when there's an agenda item on the budget for anything, someone should be represented. I mean, the stuff we talked about.
I know Chairman Fallenbach was flying back from her graduation. And I know your daughters. Sorry, not hers, her daughters, I apologize.
No, but there's, how many people on the
And
board?
I know the superintendent had another engagement.
I mean, I went and asked questions myself
Yep.
of the superintendent, and she responded to mine, so.
I don't have the time, but thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
So we have a motion and a second?
We do.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you.
Moving on to item number 11, we're going to have some discussion and possible action on the neighborhood assistance public hearing, which,
And this public hearing was this evening. And if we could have Tammy for the minutes for the town council, could you talk a little bit about the NAA?
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Council. Tammy Reardon, Grants and Compliance Specialist for the Town of New Milford. There was a public hearing held earlier this evening to act on, or to hear, regarding the 2022 Neighborhood Assistance Act Tax Credit Program. That program is an annual program the Town of New Milford participates in. It gives an advantage to nonprofit organizations within the community that receive cash donations from eligible business firms. Those eligible business firms are able to take a direct tax credit up to 100% of the amount of their donation. The application period was made public when the public hearing notice was published on June 3rd. The applications were due into my office by Friday, close of business. I did receive one application. I believe that application was included in your packet. That application is from Camilla's Cupboard. It is complete. All of the information necessary for it to be approved is in the application. So with your approval or motion to, where'd it go? If you would like the town to participate in this program, I would need a motion to approve the Town of New Milford's participation in the 2022 Connecticut Neighborhood Assistance Act program and the authorization of the applicant agencies. Once that motion is done, I will forward all paperwork to the Connecticut Department of Revenue Services. They review the paperwork, the applications, and all of the documents that I send them and make the final approval, and that would allow Camilla's Cupboard, again, to take cash donations, and the credit is extended by the state of Connecticut in the form of a tax credit to that business donor.
so moved.
Second?
Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you, Tammy.
Thank you.
Item 11B, I'd like to move that the town approve, that the council approve, as we had this evening, our other hearing item on the code, section 2-50. This is the, to propose that all full-time non-union employees hired by the town on or after July 1st, 2022 shall be enrolled in a defined contribution plan, shall not be eligible for the defined benefit plan as described in code section 2-33-2-49. The town shall contribute 5% of the eligible employee's annual salary to the defined contribution plan. Eligible employees shall be required to contribute 2% of their annual salary to such plan. Board of Education employees will continue to be eligible for the defined benefit plan. Union employees may be eligible for the defined contribution plan through collective bargaining.
And this was presented at our public hearing.
Is there a second?
Second?
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you.
Great. Item number 12, we want to just review the vehicle weight ordinance.
Yes.
Update
So
on
we
that?
had residents that were opining about, what is that, South Kent Road?
Yes.
And what is happening is in Kent, you have the business, I forget the name of that business, it's up there. The recreational one.
The Gateway.
Gateway, that's it.
Is that what it's called?
And what's
Gateway?
happening is their buses,
Getaway.
thank you. That there are buses that are going on South Kent Road on the New Milford side. And South Kent Road is not a very wide road. And a lot of residents that are walking are fearing for these buses. So I asked Jack Healy, could we look to do the similar thing that we were doing with weight limit restrictions on Chernirsky? So Jack is actually working with the town of Kent, and he's going to come back once we get those approvals to then ask the council and then the traffic authority with the approval to put a weight limit restriction on that road which then would help us facilitate the ability to make sure that those buses don't go down that road. They're from all over the place. They go to
Club Getaway.
Club Getaway, right?
So they can
Instead of
still
going
get
all the
there.
way, yeah, instead of going all the way down and then, I guess, turning right there, right. Instead of taking the back roads, then they can take really the road they should be taking.
Do we know yet if Kent is receptive?
Yeah, Jack's working with them.
Right.
I can't speak for the selectmen, but knowing her, I'm sure she would be
Yeah,
receptive
so far.
to helping out.
In Kent, the road when it gets really skinny is in Kent. And it is, I've biked on that a few times and it's like,
They're skinnier than we are.
you don't want cars going both ways as you're biking down.
My only thought is, let's not go down a slippery slope of turning every road in the town of Milford to a weight limit, and then there's no vehicles coming through. So let's keep that in mind as we go down the road.
Certainly.
Absolutely.
No, I agree, except, I mean, it's basically, what it's done in the past is no through trucks. It's basically what you're saying. If a truck's got to deliver there, then they can go there, but you don't want it to be a throwaway. And ever since Google's come around with Google Maps, it sends people ways that really aren't made for those cars and those trucks. And, I mean, I don't know how much the police are going to be actually able to really enforce it, but at least it's something there that if you see it continually, you can stop it.
Well, the major thing that we're hearing from residents, can't speak for the chief, but what I'm hearing is the buses that are going to Camp Getaway. And to me, if you could put that on there, then those companies, whether it be MapQuest or something else, they then get that, and then that gives them the lever to redirect traffic.
Oh, cool.
These buses are the commercial buses, probably?
Absolutely.
Right, not school buses.
No, they're the big
The
big
Trailways
buses.
bus
Yep.
or whatever.
Yep, like the old.
On big buses. All right, so item 13, I'd like to move to go into executive session and request Chief Ceruto and Attorney DeBella join us for discussion on school security.
Randy?
This is housekeeping matter, may I address the council?
Yes.
The ordinance that you just passed vis-à-vis the pension, for some reason it was nominated section
What?
2-50. I didn't do that. I nominated,
It
I
is.
numbered it differently.
Okay,
Number 2, section 2-50 is already an ordinance.
all right, so what do you want it to be?
I think it should be 223 A at all.
Say it again?
222-23,
Yeah, that's it?
adding that into that provision,
Okay,
and then as sequential as it follows.
okay.
Because section 2-50 is the pension committee.
Yeah, I see that, right. I see it,
So,
all right. So
it's just
we'll
a housekeeping matter. It doesn't
amend the
affect
motion?
public hearing.
Okay.
No, this is housekeeping, that's why.
You sure?
Inform you
Are we
that's what
okay
I'm
with that,
doing.
everybody?
Yep.
Housekeeping?
Yep.
Okay, got that,
Yep.
Stephanie?
Yes.
X out 2-50, put in 2-23. Hi,
And
Chief.
it's- and
We gotta
sequential.
wait for.
Just a second.
We need to vote to go into,
Just,
Yep. Can we vote to go into executive session? I have this motion and I have a second. All those in favor?
aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions?
Be quick. Thank you. And Mike will
all right, get out.
I think that goes
Ready?
against the whole purpose
I'd
of
like to
executive
move, that-
session.
like to make a motion, we return to regular session.
Have a second?
Second?
Any
During
discussion?
the executive session, no motions are made or votes taken.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Mike,
Motion to adjourn?
have a second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye, yeah.
Thank you, everybody.